Hello, all. Very good morning. I'm Rahul Kekra here again, and thank you very much to all of you to who watch my videos on. I think there were two videos which I uploaded regarding the management methodologies on IT projects. One was to how to implement the effective hybrid delivery model for IT, and second one was how the agile methodology is part of our day-to-day life and understanding how agile way of working is naturally part of our life. Thank you very much for that, and thank you very much for your nice comments and liking it. Okay, so here I go with a little bit technical video this time. So why I'm making this video is first of all, I think I'm very lucky, and I'm a part of IT industry, which has a power to change the way people live on this earth. But there are many such professions, where in fact all the professions has have this power. So we just need to understand that how our profession can make human beings' life easy on the planet. So, if we will understand the power of our industry and the importance of quality of work what we are doing, so definitely we will be contributing or helping millions of people to make their life easy. Fine. So, coming back again to the power of IT industry. So, I would just like to give two example. There may be hundreds, thousands, but I would just like to make it a little short. So one is just email. So maybe just maybe in old days the correspondence was happening through manually through postal services and all those things. So sometimes it was taking some time, maybe a few days or maybe a weeks to reach to the destination. But when email program was created, our message through email reaches to the receiver maybe in few seconds. So nothing, no no hard feelings about all those manual. That was great. That made our life very easy. But just I'm trying to say that how the power of industry can bring improvement or a more efficient way of reaching your message to the sender. That's it. So all services are really great, but I'm just explaining how we can utilizing the power of our industry to make things better. That's good. Second one, if I'll talk about Google search engine, Bing, so all this web search engines are just one stop for any common man to find solution for all his problems, be it a daily problem or maybe daily life problem or any technical problem in his work. He can find you know hundreds of suggestions how he can resolve his any difficulty or problem which he is facing in daily life, or maybe just finding a restaurant, or maybe any technical work which is looking for. So these are just two great examples that how uh, we can find the power of our industry and then implement our knowledge to make life better for millions and billions of the people, and sometimes for the whole planet. That's great. That's great. Okay, so why I am making this video a little bit technical is because I know a delivery of any project, be it IT or any domain, it requires a thorough understanding of management processes, methodology to ensure the delivery is on time. But at the same time, if a manager knows some little bit, technical. Or maybe some knowledge of technology, underlying technology in the project, so that may even help him to understand technical things also, and he can discuss with developers, architects in their language, and can come up with the more appropriate schedule for the delivery. Okay, so here I go with a little more technical video this time, and in this video we are going to understand the overview of IP address and the classification of networks on the basis of IP address, specifically IPv4. So we'll get there what is IPv4 and IPv6, and then we will see what is subnetting, and then we will see what is virtualization. But I'm really keeping it very simple, very high level, and this technical video you can see is specifically for managers or maybe the people working in management role to help them to understand some overview of this technical aspect of using IT technology in the project. Okay, so here I go. Hi guys, very good morning. So let us discuss the first, topic of this technical video is understanding IP address. So let us see, let us try to understand what is IP address. So I would like to start with an example. Suppose if somebody wants to send me a letter or correspondence through postal services, so can I receive it if I do not have a residential address? Answer is big no. So a letter or any correspondence should be fine sent to somebody, but to some address, right? If I start living in some open ground which I don't know where it is, the letter or correspondence can never reach to me, right? So the letter or correspondence from anybody reach to me or anybody in the world because he or she has a residential address, right? So that's how when any digital device connects to internet, it must have an address, right? So to send or receive a message in the same way as postal services need an address to deliver a parcel or letter. So that's how the digital world or internet also need an address of a particular machine to send or receive the messages. Very simple. Okay, fine. So let us try to understand what is that address which help this internet technology to send or receive messages to a digital machine or equipment or from a digital machine or equipment. Fine. So every digital device has two addresses. Okay. So what are those two addresses? Let us try to understand that. Okay. The first one is called MAC address. Okay. So MAC address is the physical address of any electronic or digital device which is given or provided to that device or machine by the NIC card manufacturer. Okay, so every digital machine or electronic machine has an NIC card in it, right? So that address is provided, that MAC address is provided by that manufacturer. Fine, okay. And the second address, which is used by internet technology, is called IP address. Fine. So now let us try to understand what this MAC address is and what this IP address is, and why do we need two different addresses, that is physical address and logical address. Okay, let's go into a little deep. Okay, fine. So MAC address stands for Media Access Control Access. Okay, and as we discussed, it is provided by the NIC card manufacturer. That's very good. Okay, but what is the problem with this address, and why cannot internet technology can use this address itself when already a device or electronic or digital machine has already a MAC address, which is physical address? So why it cannot be used by internet technology? Okay, fine. So we have answer, or maybe internet technology has answer for it. Okay, so first of all, a MAC address are not uniform, right? So it's up to the manufacturer of NIC card what address he wants to provide, and it's a hexadecimal address, 6 byte. Okay, fine. And second thing, it doesn't follow any regional or geographical hierarchy while providing that address. So what happens when internet messages are traveling across the continents, across the planet? So it has to keep identifying that which message or device is in which particular region or geographical location, right? So that will be easy for the technology to uh, maybe estimate the route or the time, or to reach that particular device or the machine. So that was or still that is the issue with the MAC address. Fine. So that's how that, or that's why a logical address was considered that it will be really good to use a logical address, and that should have uniformity, right? So what does uniformity means? Uniformity means every school maybe in the world, means as far as I know, they have a uniform for the school. So why do they have uniform? Because it will be really easy to identify for them that okay, he's my student, right? So that's what the purpose of uniformity in the world. So IP address has a uniformity when IP address is provided to a machine when it connects to internet. So it has certain hierarchy, and so it follows that hierarchy of geographical or regional area and network and device and all those things. So when logically they combine every bit of this particular thing, network, region, device, location. So that all, if they will take maybe first 1 byte for network, I'm just giving example, right? So maybe next byte talks about region, or then 1 byte talks about the particular device of where it is. So that forms a complete IP address of a device or a digital device, that where exactly it is, uh, on this planet, and how the message has to reach it. So that's what makes it simple for internet technology to identify digital devices connected to internet and communicate more conveniently. So that's why IP address was means derived or came into existence. Okay, so let us try to understand a little more about some more differences in MAC address and IP address. So as we discussed that MAC address is provided by the NIC card provider, and then it cannot be changed according to time or situation. But IP address is something which is assigned to a digital device. Public IP, I'm talking about public IP, not private IP. We'll see the difference in private IP and public IP also, and the network classes defined on the category on the basis of range of different IPs also, that also we'll discuss. So public IP is assigned to a digital device or machine when it connects to internet by the internet service provider. So if you have taken, suppose if you have a laptop of some company X and that has provided the NIC card. So the MAC address for the laptop is provided by that company X who has manufactured the NIC card. And if you have internet in your house, maybe router you have taken from company Y. So that company Y has purchased a certain range of public IP for that region. So whenever your laptop or whatever electronic or digital device connects to internet, so that public IP is provided to your machine for that particular session by the internet service provider, which is the company Y. So that is the difference. So maybe if you will change your internet service provider to some Z, so next time when you will connect to internet, that public IP will be provided for the time being temporary public IP by the company Z. So that is the difference. Okay. So now when it comes to how to assign IP address to a digital device which is getting connected to internet, so there are two ways. So those two different methodologies, one is called IPv4 and one is IPv6. Okay, so let us try to understand what is IPv4. So IPv4 is a unique address for a digital device which is 32 bit address. So every 8 bit has certain information, means a different kind of information, and which is clubbed together to make a 32-bit address to uniquely identify a machine connected to internet that particular point of time. So whenever maybe whatever machines are connected to internet that point of time, no machines can have the same address at the same time when it is connected to internet, and the public IP can never be same of any two different machines. Okay. Okay, so why do we need two different methodology, IPv4 and IPv6, to generate the IP addresses? So yes, there is answer. So very good doubt. So IPv4 was the initial way of deriving or assigning IP address to digital devices, and as we discussed, it has 32-bit address. So and it supports only binary numbers. So for every 8 bits, so, and then it can support 4.3 billion machines at the same time across the planet on internet. Maybe initially it was not thought that internet will become so popular that 4.3 billion will not be sufficient to support the number of devices on the internet at one particular time. So that's why IPv6 came in existence, and now most of the internet service providers are moving from IPv4 to IPv6, and slowly maybe this will become more popular. So IPv6 is 128-bit number which has combination of digital and hexadecimal also, so that can support even more than 10 billion or even more machines at one particular point of time connected to internet. So let's see just one sample of these two different IPv4 and IPv6 addresses, that how does it looks like. Just one sample. So you can see that IPv4 is 32-bit address which supports the uh, binary numbers, and IPv6 can have binary as well as combination of hexadecimal. So that what makes it able to support more than even 10 billion. So that was the reason why IPv6 came into existence and now becoming more popular. Okay. Okay, so I hope now it is clear that what is MAC address and what is IP address, and why do we need these two different addresses, one physical, one logical. That's okay, fine. If there is any doubt, please send me or comment on my video. I will definitely try to reply. Okay, now let's try to understand how the network are classified on the basis of ranges of IP address. And I'm currently I will discuss the categorization of network classes on the basis of IP addresses generated or derived or identified on the basis of IPv4, right, which is 32-bit binary number. Okay, fine. So let us go one by one for different network classes. So first one is, I'll just summarize first, so that will be really easy to understand all this. So there are total 5 network classes: class A, class B, class C, class D, and class E. Okay, so only first 3, A, B, and C, are available for a normal maybe organizations work, or maybe the people who work on a software company, or anybody who is in normal or maybe uh, business as usual, or that kind of company can use network class A, B, and C, and D and E are reserved for some specific purpose. So we will see all of them one by one. So first, if we will discuss the class A, fine. Okay, let us see what is class A and how what IPv4 address range comprises of network class A. So let's see. Okay, so here we can see that class A consists of the IP range from 1.0.0.0 to 126.225.225.225. Okay, and what are the main features? So can be used for the normal organization, biggest range of IP used for very big networks to be created or maintained, and private range. Okay, now we will discuss the difference in private IP and public IP. So every class, this class A, B, C, which I mentioned, that can be used for normal business or for a general purpose company. So that is class A, B, and C, and every class has a private range defined for that particular class, and that private range can be assigned even in the machine on lane also inside that company premises. So this private range or private IP must be unique within that lane only. So suppose there are two companies adjacent to each other, company A and company B. So if company A is using a private IP called 10.1.1.1, just to give an example, in its lane, so company B also, if purchased same class A, or going to define their private IPs on the basis of class A, they can also use 10.1.1.1 in their lane, because the private IP must be unique within just one lane. Okay, fine. So, and this private IPs, any company doesn't need to purchase from anywhere. So they can assign private IP on the basis of network class which they have identified they want to go for their organization. Okay, fine. So now we have seen the class A network. Fine. So this private IP of machine will change to public IP by the router or internet service provider for that company, right? So suppose company A, maybe this will be a confusing example. So company X is using class A network, and they have a service provider called company Y. Okay, so company X can give their maybe computer on lane the private IP 10.1.1.1. But as soon as that computer will connect to internet, their service provider company Y will change it to public IP for class A, which should be between 1 to 126 as we discussed, but it should never be in range of that 10 dot something which we discussed is the private range for that particular class, right? So this may become anything 9.2.3.4, or maybe 124.1.2.3 or anything, but not from that range of private IPs for that class. Okay, and then that particular public ID should be unique for that machine on the entire planet, wherever or whatever machines are connected to internet. That is clear. Okay, fine. So once the device is on internet, now it start communicating on the basis of public IP. That's great. And as soon as the message comes to for that machine from some other machine connected to internet, then that public IP is again converted to private IP, within that lane, and the message is delivered to that machine. Okay, I think it's clear. Fine. Okay, so class A is clear now. I think if any confusion, just message me. I'll try to reply. Okay, so now comes the class B. Okay, let us see what IP ranges. IPv4 definitely. I'm not talking about, sorry, IPv6 ranges of now. So again, we will see class B on the basis of IPv4 IP address ranges. So class B talks about consists of IP range from 128.0.0.0 to 191.255.255.255. Okay, main features can be used for the normal organization. Second biggest range of IPs, private range. Again, as we discussed for class A, so class B has this private range. So this private IP can be assigned within the lane in that organization and can be can be duplicated in some other range maybe, but within that lane cannot be repeated. And once this machine will connect to internet, that this private IP will be converted to public IP by internet service provider, and that can be anywhere in the range of 128 to 191 in this case, but definitely not in the range of this private IPs. Okay, and that's great. So we understood the class B also. Okay, I hope class B is also clear. Okay, so let us progress to maybe class C. Let us see what is class C. Okay, so in the same way, class C consists of IP ranges from 192.0.0.0 to 223.255.255.255. Main features, okay, fine, can be used for the normal organization. Third biggest range of IPs, and I hope this concept of private IPs are clear. And the same way, private IPs can be used without any cost. Okay, I hope the class C is also clear on the same concept. Okay, so now we'll go to class D. Let us. Okay, so class D consists of IP range from 224.0.0.0 to 247.255.255.255. Okay, main features cannot be used for the normal organization, used for multicast purpose, and it has no private range in this class because this class is reserved for specific category of work. That's why it has not given any private range. Okay, fine. Class E consists of IP range from 248.0.0.0 to 255.255.255.254. Okay, main features can't be used for the normal organization, used for experimental research purpose, and it has no private range in this class. Okay, so now I think it's clear that out of these 5 different categories of network classes, a normal organization can use class A, B, and C. Okay, now maybe one question can come to somebody that where is the IP address 127? Okay, let's see what happened quickly. Let us see what happened. Okay, so see, so class A goes from 1.0.0.0 to 126.255.255.255. Okay, that's good. And suddenly class B starts from 128. So where the 120 is gone or disappeared? Good doubt if you got that. Okay, so I'll try to explain. 127 is reserved for any bug fixing or something. Maybe if your internet is not working, somebody is trying to fix the error, so they can try with IP address 127. So if they are able to connect to internet or maybe receive message by 127, so that is not a problem with internet, that is some other problem. Okay, so I hope I am able to explain IP, MAC addresses and network classes. Okay, good. Okay, guys. So I hope we discussed IPv4, IPv6, difference in MAC address, IP address. Why do we need IP address? Those things. I think. Okay. So let us move to our second topic called subnetting, or creating a subnet into a network class. So why do we need that? And I'm going to keep it very short because when it comes to creating or making subnets in a network class, it's a very big technical work. So currently I'm focusing to make this video for people in a management role, or maybe program managers, or maybe all management roles kind of things. But yes, definitely, if my all of my friends or any of my friend need me to or want me to make a very detailed technical video on how to create subnet in a network class, I can definitely, I'll be very happy to do that. But I want to keep it very short. Okay, fine. So what is subnetting and why do we need it? Fine. So we discussed there are five different network classes and class A, B, C, D, and E, right? And out of those five, only three A, B, C are available for a general purpose, or maybe for a normal business or a company which does normal business. They can use three network classes. Okay, fine. But there are few internetworking devices like router. I'm just giving one example. There may be many more, but router needs when you want to connect network on its every individual port. So router needs a different network on its every single port. Wherever you are trying to connect any network cable, it should be a different network. And you know that there are only three network classes, as we know, that a company can use, and out of which also maybe they decided to go for class A, B, or C. So if they are using a router, and if they want to use it six ports, so from where this six different network classes will come? That doesn't exist. Only five exist, and that too only three can be used for a normal business, and out of which, suppose a company started using class C. Okay, then what will happen? How they can use router for their plugging in their different networks? Maybe they have a department manufacturing, one purchasing, and how they plug in those different departments lane into a router, or maybe any other device which needs different network on every port. Then so that's why subnetting come into picture. Fine. So what this technology does is, or what is the concept is, any company can go for any A, B, or C class of network, but then they will create subnet into that class itself, which will be treated as different network class or subnet for that class only. So all those that suffice the purpose of using this kind of devices, is that router that we have to, or company has to plug in all different networks on different ports. So that purpose can be resolved by creating subnet. So as I'm keeping very short, so I'll just give you example how does a subnet IP address look like. Okay, so suppose a company is using class C, okay, and it consists of IP range from 192.0.0.0 to 223.255.255 to 255, okay, and actually to create subnetting, the concept is used as CIDR, which is classless inter-domain routing. So just below I have given example. Then when the subnetting will be created, so one of the sample IP address is 192.0.2.1/24. Okay, so fine. So this is what just subnetting is. I'm keeping it very short, but definitely I can come up with very detailed technical video on that. Fine. So subnetting is done, IP addressing, MAC addressing is done. So let us move to the third and the last part of this technical video, is virtualization. Okay, guys. So third and last, the technical topic of this video is virtualization, and virtualization, has brought maybe a revolution for cost saving for almost all the IT companies. And how it has happened, and how does virtualization help organization for cost saving? Let us understand this. And any management role person, IT project manager, program manager, change manager, should have a good understanding that how they can use this virtualization in their project program for cost saving. This is a very very important maybe concept for virtualization. Fine. So let us see what is virtualization. Okay, let's see. So understanding virtualization, if we will talk about virtualization, using infrastructure virtualization and play a key role in cost saving in the project and can ensure many other benefits. A virtual computer system is known as virtual machine, or VM, what we call a tightly isolated software container with an operating system and application inside. Each self-contained virtual machine is completely independent. Putting multiple virtual machines on a single computer enables several operating systems and applications to run on just one physical server or host. A thin layer of virtualization software decouples the virtual machines from the host and dynamically allocates computing resources to each virtual machine as needed. Okay, so wonderful. So we understood some high level concept that a single machine itself can have multiple operating system and multiple applications. Okay, so there are two types of virtualizations which are important to understand. One is desktop virtualization and one is server virtualization. Okay, let us try to understand what desktop, where desktop virtualization is needed and why it is important for cost saving. And at the same time, server virtualization is also very important for cost saving and understanding, to optimizing the hardware cost and utilization both. Okay. Okay, so desktop virtualization, where we need, suppose if we are starting a project and there are 50 developers are required for, or 50 different developer, designer, architect, testers are required to complete and deploy our project, or maybe complete the programming, testing, solution designing, everything. So you may need 50 different physical desktops. So that's where this virtualization comes with the magic. So what virtualization can do is, there are many virtual desktop provider, mainly just for example Citrix. I'm just giving you example. Please don't make any decisions on the basis. I'm just giving you one good example that Citrix is good in desktop virtualization. So what does it do is, if we can get one Citrix server, so on the same server you can create different desktop, maybe partitioned by some thin layer of container or something. So all 50 different developers, testers, architects can log in from their remote device by using their user ID password, and can connect to the same server, and they can have a feel that they are working on their individual desktop, and all their applications, data, files will be saved in their individual desktop, which is created maybe on virtualized Citrix server. So you can see that we can see that one server itself can work like a 50 different desktop. So that's where the cost saving comes into play. And then if we will discuss about the scenarios, suppose in a company where an employee has to move in different locations to complete a process or transaction. So is it possible if he is using a physical desktop on a particular table? So if he has to go in different rooms or locations to complete a process, or to get feedback from somebody to complete a transaction, or any particular process in which is open on his desktop, will it be possible or feasible for him to take his desktop from a table and just moving around all the organization? That is not possible, right? So what he can do is, maybe wherever he will go, if he will just log in from that computer available there to the remote server, and he can complete his process or transaction, right? So that's where this magic of virtualization, not only cost saving but process improvement also. Okay, fine. Okay, so if you are starting organization, or going ahead with a new very big program or project, and where you need a new hardware, or maybe you're starting a new organization, so how many servers you need, right? You need DHCP for dynamic IP address allocation, DNS server, web server, database server, and every server is very high end device, right? You need very high configuration, maybe RAM, if we'll talk about, maybe in several GBs, and even storage. Uh, if you need to store data in database server, there'll be multiple GBs of storage required, and maybe when you are starting actual use, you may not be utilizing that much high configuration. So that may be wastage of resources what you spend. So that's where there are many good server virtualization software are available, like hypervisor. So what it can do is, on the same very high-end configuration server, you can install multiple server on the same physical server, like DHCP server, DNS, web server, database, can everything, all these servers can work only on one physical server with very high-end configuration. And this is not only cost saving, but we will be able to utilize all this physical component very efficiently in optimization of all the resources, right? So let us see what we discuss for server virtualization. Okay, so that's where, so virtualization and creating server by using server virtualization tools like hypervisor, server hardware cost can be saved by a great extent. In absence of server virtualization, the project may need many expensive individual servers like DHCP, DNS, web server, database server, and at the same, all these costly hardware may be underutilized. Okay, so that's where, but by using efficient server virtualization software, we can use one high-end server hardware to create multiple servers, as mentioned above, running in different virtual physical boundaries, and improve the hardware resources utilization and the cost saving. Okay, so we understood that how virtualization can play a big role in not only cost saving but utilizing all hardware component very efficiently. So I hope we discussed IP addressing, MAC address, understanding concept of IPv4, IPv6, and why do we need IP address when there is already physical address, MAC address available. Then subnetting, why do we need subnetting, and at last uh, a great cost saving concept, and at the same time it is ensuring that all the hardware components are also we use very efficiently, and we optimized utilization of hardware. So that is virtualization, which has just brought a revolution in IT industry. So I hope uh, you will like this video. This discussion may help in some way in your work or any other thing in your professional life or personal life. And please do share your comments, so I would definitely like to improvise in next videos. Okay, have a nice time. Okay, have a nice day. Okay, bye all.